Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today I wanted to bring you folks along as I talk about a few successes and some failures so far this year in the garden. Let's get going. So it is no secret, I have a long way to go to be a perfect gardener. So this week I was kind of adding a few things to the garden where I'd messed up and that sort of thing. So I thought it would be fun to bring you all along and sort of talk about our top 3 failures and our top 3 successes so far in 2023. The failure I want to start with is this bed behind me. You can see now I've had to rip everything out. Those of you who follow the channel know I've been battling those dadgum squash bugs in the butternut squash all year. Now this is the 3rd year in a row that I've tried to grow butternut squash. Now, just full disclosure, we did get about 12 good-sized butternut squash out of here. But from what I understand, most people can get the stuff to grow all year and get like 20 or 30 butternut squash out of it. I'm really disappointed that I only got 12. And so far, this is probably the one that I'm most disappointed in personally. I want to balance the butternut squash failure with our squash success this year. The last few years here in 7B, we have gotten a lot of squash early in the year, and then as the year went along, our plants died off really quickly. As you can see though, we are in July and our plants are going strong. Thanks to these fellas right there helping us pollinate. Appreciate you, my man. So our first success is definitely the squash. Now the second failure that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is our summer lettuce. We had lettuce left over from the spring and our chickens got in the garden and just wiped it out. So I thought, hey, why not try to grow some summer lettuce? Well, none of it at all came up in the old garden. That's not necessarily true. I guess we had like 5 or 6 of them actually come up, and then as soon as it hit like 100 degrees, they just died off. I also had a bucket that I was trying to grow summer lettuce in, and I planted that in middle of May. And let me show you what I mean by a failure. So as I said, we planted this bucket in mid-May when we put in our other summer vegetables. We haven't harvested any of it yet, and you can see the best that it's doing isn't even hand high. I'm gonna go ahead and let it go and see what happens with it. But we haven't been able to eat this, and all it's done is take this bucket up for about 6 weeks now. For our second success, let's talk about cucumbers. Now, Leslie had a goal this year of pickling 100 jars of pickles, and because of the amount of cucumbers we have, she may even exceed that. We have downsized our cucumber area, but tried a new method, and we have far exceeded the amount of cucumbers so far this year that we grew in almost twice the space last year. So the third and final failure I wanted to talk about today is the one that probably affected Leslie the most. She was so excited for corn, and maybe it's the one that stings a little bit the most because the corn grew up, it was all big and beautiful and started getting the silk on it and the ears forming. We come out the next day and animals had just completely and totally ravished the corn that was on there, which was fine. We went through, cut those off, and we thought, well, maybe we'll get a late season harvest. The next day we had a thunderstorm come through and just tore our gardens up. And so we ended up just having to pull the corn. I cannot believe that we put so much time throughout the course of the year planning for this. We even had it as part of our food security plan going into the winter, and we haven't gotten 1 ear of corn. And as you can see, the bed is now empty, and soon we're going to put purple whole peas in there. So if all things are balanced, then that would make sense why our tomatoes are the 3rd success of the year. Anybody who watches the channel knows they are my favorite by far, and you can see we have been very blessed this year. Our tomatoes have absolutely taken off. Here I'm just showing our slicing and Roma tomatoes, but our cherry tomatoes are already going crazy as well. We're able to have them for breakfast every day again, which is my personal favorite thing to do and the reason I grow them. So despite the corn mishap, I am incredibly excited about how our tomatoes are looking. Well, as I mentioned, I am far from a perfect gardener, and I have a long way to go to be able to get to a position where Leslie and I are 100% self-sustaining here on the homestead. But the one thing I wanted to reiterate as I made this video is I think it's important for us to celebrate our successes and make sure we learn as much as possible from our failures. As always, I appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. Until next time, I hope you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.